Boom. Got to remember to unmute the audio. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Flipping Out stream. It is Wednesday night. Time to talk about some pinball. It should be a good time. Yeah, we're gonna do a chatting stream tonight. We everybody that's on the call tonight was part of. Whoa, thank you for the sub. Everybody that's on the call tonight is was part of TPF. We were all at TPF. Whoa, Cary, I didn't know you wore these shirts, but sweet. Oh, you're not Captain 12. Is that you, Cary? That's somebody else.
No, it's somebody else.
Oh, sweet. Captain 12. Yes. Sweet. Everybody should wear these. Anyways, thank you. Thank you for everybody that's here tonight. I love these chatting streams because chat is always very active. So if you disagree with what we're saying, if you whatever, just throw it in chat. That's what chat's all about. It's trying to be a very enjoyable and active chat. But if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, thank you for clicking the link. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. But really appreciate everybody that's here live and everybody that's watching it later. Team Sil, what up, man? How you doing? Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead. We'll dive in, do some quick introductions, and fastest way to get activity is to pull out a spreadsheet. No spreadsheets tonight. But if you really miss it, I could maybe figure that out. So, but no, we're gonna go ahead and dive in here. So this is the four of us. This is the four of us tonight. So we're going to do our normal introductions. We'll go around the circle. We'll say who you are, what do you do in pinball, and what was the last game of pinball that you played. So going around the circle here, Hadi, we're going to go ahead and start with you.
Hello, I am Hadi, Frisco Pinball, and I stream pinball once an eclipse. So on April someday, I'll stream again. But yeah, so I used to stream pinball a lot. I still play a lot. I'll get back to streaming eventually. But I've got a collection back here that I play decent amount. Well, I was listening to Final Round with Jeff Teolis. They were talking to Jermaine, and he's just like me. A lot of the pinball experience that I get to play is at tournaments. I'm trying to be better about that, and I started today. So last game I played was Venom. I unlocked Captain America.
Nice.
And it was a blast. And now I'm speedrunning.
So do you have all 7 unlocked at this point?
I just got them. Yeah, I was waiting for. I mentioned this on George's Basement Dad's podcast. I was waiting for my Cliffies. I didn't really want to beat up my machine too much until I got them. So I got them, and I told that to Dwight at TPF. He's like, "Oh, I understand that." So yeah, I just unlocked Captain America. That was the last one, and it is awesome. It's a whole new strategy, and my goal now is to get under an hour for my speed run. I'm like 40 minutes in. I was very close, and so right now that's what I'm playing, and then I'll probably hop on back to Skateball, which I'm fixing up, and play some more.
Yeah, and I see you have a trophy sitting right next to you.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
What's that?
I'm very
from?
happy about it.
What'd
you say?
What was that from?
So Hangar Pinball, the group out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is amazing. They've got some really cool leagues and tournaments out there. Hangar Pinball had a booth at TPF in the front where the old entrance used to be, and they had 5 pins. It was a card-based format, unlimited entries, and unlimited players. And so if you got in the top 5, you won $500 and an awesome trophy. So TPN represented, myself, Travis. We're in the top 5. George was just outside at 7.
Yeah.
It was a really good time. I did it after I spent 36 hours in the tourney room. So I did it on Sunday. It was a blast. I bought 3 entries, voided the first, and my second card was good enough. I didn't even use the third. So shout out to Hangar Pinball. Thank you for everybody for doing those side tournaments that allowed other people that weren't in the Wizards or Classics to get some competitive action on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, and congrats to the win there. Kaz, thank you so much, man, for the bits. Really appreciate that. Yeah, well, Hadi, thank you so much for being here. Keep working our way around. Cary, go ahead with all the intros.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get. Okay, it looks like my microphone's picking up. I always put it on push to talk, so in case I have to like burp or pass gas or whatever, it doesn't get picked up. So, hello all. I'm Cary Hadi. I'm on YouTube. I talk and do everything pinball. Just want to get this knocked out of the way. Yes, a lot of you have already noticed that a machine is missing back here. I didn't sell it. I have it. I'm just being lazy. I have not set my Jurassic Park up after Texas Pinball Festival. It's in the living room right now, waiting for me to do something with it. So I still have it. So eventually people are probably going to ask that. So people in chat, please, by all means, help me out and give them the information about when people are asking about my missing game. So yeah, that's my intro right there.
Awesome. And the last game of pinball you played was what?
I actually played my getaway last night just to make sure the damn thing still worked.
Nice. Nice. And you came home not with a trophy, but with your Earthshaker got, what was it, second in
It was runner up for early solid state in the 80s.
Okay.
That thing was beautiful. Oh my god, I was looking for the price tag.
I didn't put it up for sale, and there's a reason why that. And I didn't put it up for sale until Sunday because I didn't even finish that game until Tuesday of last week.
Well,
So it was one of those where I was like, I hope this thing works. I played a few games, and then eventually it just went right to there. So it was. I tell people, I'm like, I was nervous because I'm like, you put a shaker motor in something that you just put together, and you're like, you're gonna find out what is not put together very well. And there's a couple of things, a few of them obviously my fault, but luckily Sunday everything rocked and rolled. So I put a price tag on it, but I didn't anticipate on selling it, but it is what it is.
And it's gone. It's gone.
No, it's still here. I didn't sell it, but
okay.
I know somebody that might be interested. It's like her favorite game, so she's maybe.
You showed some restraint from the cash that was going to be in your pocket. That's what I'm hearing. That's good. That's good. Well, awesome. Thank you, Cary. Thank you so much for being here. And George, go for it.
My name is George. I stream on a channel called Don't Panic Flip a few days a week. Recently started podcasting on Basement Dads, and I like to go to pinball shows, and that's about it. Oh, and Hadi knocked me out of 5th place and grabbed that trophy. And so Hadi, thank you. And yeah, definitely hats off to you up there. Appreciate it.
That's awesome.
You're welcome. I got the cash here if you want to see
it. Yeah, that'd be great. I was hoping to see it personally.
He said he does. He has it right there.
I actually have it. I haven't moved it yet. I haven't gone to the bank.
It's just salt and wound. That's awesome. Okay, well, and my name is Joel. I do the Flippin' Out stream every Wednesday night. I also do the Triple Drain Pinball podcast. And the last game of pinball I played was Pulp Fiction behind me. I think as of right now, Zach's planning on swapping that out next week. So I try to kind of have to get as much of it as I can while I can. But yeah, thank you for everybody that's here. So let's dive into our conversation. Just TPF in general. That is our conversation. We do have a list of games to work our way through, so we can start with the games, but let's just start with just overall thoughts on TPF this year. I know all of us have gone before, so this year compared to last year. And anybody want to start us off on just overall thoughts with the show?
Sure. As a local, hence the name Frisco Pinball. I got to tell you, so just a little caveat. This is the first year that I can remember. I've been in Texas for 8 years. I moved from California to Texas. That it was the same week as spring break for all the schools in our area. So I split my spring break half with my family, and then I drove back from our vacation to go to TPF. So I will say it seemed a little less crowded, and I'm wondering if that's because Easter was early and then they changed the scheduling. So I'm hoping that they do, if the new organizers, because this was the first year for the new organizers, do try to make sure that it's not the same week as spring break, so they get a lot more locals to attend. Otherwise, overall impressions, this was my favorite TPF, maybe because it wasn't as crowded, but also I spent this TPF on the tournament side, so that is kind of my passion right now, so I'm going to be a little biased there. But as far as space, number of games, things to see, it was amazing. The amount of custom homebrews was absolutely phenomenal. It knocked it out of the park with the homemade custom themes that you saw, and we'll get to that obviously, but everyone was on their best behavior that I saw. I went to a seminar, the Gomez evening with George Gomez. That was a blast. Obviously, there were no Twippies this year, but I think that all things considered, it was a really, really 9 out of 10 TPF. Can't complain.
Yeah. And either of you have anything to add to that? I mean, it was
I mean, I think there's multiple reasons, and Hadi, named a few of them why I feel like it seemed like it was, I guess, better when it comes to a crowd or as not as many people. And I think one of those, obviously, we didn't have as many releases as we did last year. Two, the layout was drastically different.
Mm-hmm.
Three, adverse weather conditions, like it was raining where we were currently at the expo, let alone, or not expo, at the show festival, let alone what Colorado was going through and stuff like that. But yeah, also with the spring break, like you mentioned. So I think it was a culmination of all these different things that probably hindered the population as being as full as it could have been. But I think overall we still had a very good turnout. I think we had a lot of the games on and working compared to last year. And I mean, I'm also kind of curious about something because I have like multiple thoughts about the show, and there's a couple of things that I'm hoping that will change. And out of curiosity, Hadi, I mean, how many years in a row have you gone to TPF?
7. I used to go before I was into pinball just for the arcades. There's a
wow.
guy that makes like a custom Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat. I literally would just go for those. And I would see, oh, I remember I played this pinball machine as a kid, but until I started getting into pinball, I kicked myself. I'm like, this has been here the whole time and I haven't played pinball. So for probably 3 to 4 years dedicated to pinball, and then the rest of the time dedicated to arcades. I will say what was funny was on Friday, explaining to out-of-towners the tornado sirens, because I know that they set them off for anything. Severe weather. It doesn't have to be a tornado. So everybody in the turning area was like, what's that? I said, don't worry, we'll be okay. It's probably just a thunderstorm. Don't worry about those loud sirens that sound ominous where you're not gonna blow away.
Yeah, that was something that was kind of funny. I remember I was set up a game and my buddy was there, and I heard the lightning and thunder and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, it looks like the storm should just go right past us. It won't even hit us." And all of a sudden, woo! I was like, "You were singing?" But I think partially also I forgot about this, but another reason why it didn't seem as crowded inside of the area was because we had a lot of machines out in the hallway open to the public and stuff like
Yep.
that. So I think that also helped with the crowd. But back to like how many years? I mean, have you bought a T-shirt every year for TPF? Out of
Almost.
curiosity.
I bought. It's funny you say that. I bought some old. This was the first year I was able to buy a challenge coin board. There's a local enthusiast who sells like this custom wood thing you can hold your TPF challenge coins. And so I bought older challenge coins. I was like, no, I'm gonna buy this one. I've earned it. I went that year, and so. But I did see they have some of the older shirts. But I generally buy almost every year either a hoodie or a shirt.
Did you buy one this year?
Yes, I bought a green one.
Really?
They didn't have
Okay.
They didn't have hoodies. They had shirts, and I was the first one. But I was waiting for the gift shop to open because I wanted to get out of the way, because I usually always go too late and they're sold out. So I stood there at 10 a.m. on Friday, 9:55 a.m. They're like, "What would you like, sir?" And I said, "Give me that shirt and give me those challenge coins."
Yeah, that was the thing, is that I got the challenge coin as well for my collection. But reason why I'm asking about the T-shirts is because I didn't see as many people wearing these T-shirts, and then a lot of people that throughout the show, like including the people that I usually hang closely with, this is the first year, including myself, that I didn't buy a shirt, and that was because I didn't care for the art this year.
Yeah.
I mean,
I will say, I think location has something to do with it. And the reason I didn't give it a 10 out of 10, I don't like that the entrance was moved to the side. Coming from the food trucks in that area where the old entrance is a perfect location, as you get traffic from just hotel guests that may be there for something else. And the gift shop was also right at the entrance in the center part where it used to be. And I think that could have helped driven sales, because not everybody, I mean, I know it was next to the entrance this year on the side, but at the same time, I don't think that was a good spot to have people funnel in. I do like the old entrance, so that's one of my criticisms.
The entrance in a different location definitely threw me off multiple times.
Yeah.
And but I do like that they moved. There was more activity outside the hall, which gave more room inside the hall. I see Travis there in chat. Now I do have to clarify, because Travis Murray is the person I do Triple Drain with. Travis Mosman right there in chat is a different Travis. So when I say Travis in chat works with Barrels of Fun, that's not Travis Murray, because apparently one of the last streams I had, I kept saying Travis, and apparently Travis Murray Triple Drain's like, I didn't know he was getting messages from people. So there's more than one Travis, is what I'm saying in this hobby. But Travis, yes, Travis in chat, he said I was told TPF has 100 more machines this year than last year, which is crazy because I agree with everything you guys said. It felt less crowded. However they arranged the game, it was less organized in a way. Like that you could get lost, kind of. Before it was very like rows, and it's at the end of this row is that or that or that. But like I remember, when I was talking to Dwight Sullivan, and he's like, "We should play a game." I was like, "Sure. What do you want to play?" He goes, "I want to play that 8-Ball Beyond," and I was like, "Well, that's over here." And it's like he had been in the Marco booth the whole time, and right on the other side of that curtain was all the homebrew games. But it's like that's kind of a strange spot. Like he had no idea because they're kind of hidden, and like Barrels of Fun was kind of hidden in a corner. So the layout was definitely odd, but it worked. It worked really well. So it definitely felt less crowded. I have no idea unless they release numbers. If there were less people that attended, but it sure felt like it. Felt like there were like
there were more local groups running tournament style, like from their booth running tourneys, like the North Texas Pinball League. Tom George, he had a whole lucky elf or lucky leprechaun tournament, win the pot of gold on the end where they were loading in the pins, and there were like 15 pins over there, so it was a lot of variety on the outside. To Cary's point, more than in previous years past.
Well, I do know you said all the pinball machines outside the room were open to the public. I don't know if that's true because we were Travis Murray and his two boys, and we were all playing a game outside the hall. And there was actually a lady who was one of the ladies that runs TPF, walked up to us because we all had jackets on, and she's like, "Do you have armbands?" And we're like, "Yeah." But his sons hadn't put theirs on yet. It was the first day, and they're like, "Ours are in a room." She's like, "Well, I need to ask you to stop playing until I see." So which is surprising. I think it makes sense that you have outside, like, let's get some locals or people that are in the hotel to play a few games and be like, "Oh, I want to,"
Yeah,
I don't know. I was surprised by that. And to Cary's point about the shirt, I did not buy a shirt. I thought about it. And the reason I thought about it is because the pink elephant was a shirt my daughter would love. So I was like, maybe I should get it because my daughter would love that and love it every single time I wore it. But it's also not a pinball shirt that I would wear frequently. So
yeah,
it was
that's the
unique
thing.
art.
Like every pinball TPF shirt I've got, I wear, like I just put it on. I don't even think about it. But this is the one year where I was like, I just don't want to be walking around in public with that. That's just me. Other people probably thought it was great, but me, I was like, this is not the best TPF shirt. So I'm hoping I'll talk to Paul, and we're gonna see if we can get another artist that everyone's used to seeing in other shows do the artwork. We'll see.
Okay. Well, cool. Well,
was it tri-blend?
It was. I don't know. I didn't even look. Like it was just like
I didn't think so.
Yeah, I don't care how comfortable the shirt is. If I don't like the way it looks, I'm not gonna wear it.
True.
Well, yeah. Well, let's dive in here. Let's start chipping our way through some games. But I will say, just to wrap up overall, like the show was great. The show was great. I definitely think it was an improvement on, like, it keeps getting better in my opinion. But it did feel weird. This year felt weird in a way. I felt like last year there were 7 games announced. They were all announced within a few weeks of the show, and there hadn't been another show to play any of them. So this genuinely was like a first opportunity situation for a lot of people. While here, some of the games that we're going to talk about tonight, Jaws, Elton John, Labyrinth, Pulp Fiction, those are all games that were available at previous shows or have been out for a little while. So it was different. It was different in a way. But yet, those were all games that I was excited to either play again or play a different version of them. Brooklyn Pin, Joel, you're the best tournament commentator. I did have a chance to do some tournament commentary, and it was a blast. It was a blast. But
Joel, do we want to do our own thing, or do we want to let the audience decide what game we talk about? You can do like a poll or something.
That would be awesome if I set up polls, but I definitely have not done that. I did see you ask that, Cary, and somebody did say, what was it? Centaur. Or never mind. Ninja. Ninja was the first one, of course. Here I am trying to get Here I am trying to get top-down views of each game, and Ninja Eclipse is one that I didn't. One thing that Dennis Kriesel has accused me of is apparently I invite guests on and then I talk too much. So I am going to make sure that we rotate who talks first about each game. So I am going to pull up this.
I was gonna make a comment when someone told me to go get a beverage, and I was gonna say I'll wait till Joel goes on one of his little tangents, and then I'll go get a drink.
Here we go. This is thank you. I know. So Ninja Eclipse, Turner Pinball. This is not the first time that this game has been shown, but it's the first time that this version of the game was shown. So this was released today. This video. This is I don't know this guy. Normally it's another guy that always does all the talking for Turner Pinball. But there was there's a gameplay video that was put out today. So we're gonna talk about this. But we'll work our way around. George, did you have a chance to play this game? Yes.
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. What were your thoughts?
Yeah.
Was it your first time? Was it your first time playing it?
No, I actually got to play it. I think at Expo.
Okay.
When they brought the thin cabinets. I think that was when they introduced it. So I got to play it. Or is this the third show? Was it at TPF last year?
It was at TPF last year in the form you played it at Expo.
So TPF last year, it was a whitewood. There was nothing. It was it was a whitewood, and then the thin cabinet, like you're saying.
Graphics.
Was it? Did it?
I
swore it was.
couple.
Oh, I thought it was like basic as all. I don't remember it, but
It had a little bit of graphics, but if I remember correctly, Joel, you didn't have kind words to say about it.
Well, hey, we're not starting with me, Cary. Okay, we're gonna start with George, and I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
George talks slow. I'm gonna go get a drink.
Yes, I'll talk slow. Got it. So a few different things about it. One, I played it all 3 times. So I played it at TPF when it was a whitewood. I played it last Expo and played it as the smaller cabinet. And I got to talk to the guy who is Turner Pinball about the justifications behind why they went that route, and what they took from Deep Root in order to make it happen. It was really cool to see that cabinet, how the entire glass just raised up on a hinge. It was something that when I brought back and I talked to Paul about, he's like, "Oh man, that would be so amazing if you could just do that. Think about how much more room you could have as an operator for locations if the glass just went up. You don't have to worry about pulling it all the way out. A lot less opportunity for glass to break. So I think that was really positive. But the game felt cheap because it was very light. Like one good nudge would have sent it streaming across the floor in a tournament. So this time through, the game felt sturdy. It was a standard cabinet. It felt better overall. The entire play field, everything, it just felt like a better pinball machine. The flippers weren't entirely soggy. I mean, they weren't great, but they were nowhere near as bad as they were at Expo. Expo, it was hard to make shots. I had no issues making shots there. The software was definitely further along when I talked to Turner Pinball at Expo. He said the software is mostly done. Obviously, that wasn't the case. They added quite a bit in terms of software to the game. Overall, they're charging just shy of $7,000 for this game. And if you were to compare it to something like a pro version of Jaws, no, it's not. It's interesting to see that a company has come out and manufactured or has gotten to a place where they can manufacture a game, but the animations are kind of reminiscent of 90s Adobe Flash, where there's just a mild bit of movement. There's not a lot going on overall in the game. There is some depth, but overall the game doesn't shoot amazing. That upper loop is not satisfying, and you can hit it essentially forever. It's not difficult. So I think it's $69.95 for the game.
So Kaz actually has a good question, but I'll say it this way, George, what would the price have to be for you to buy it?
So that's interesting. We had that conversation, and I think it feels like this game should have targeted the home pin market and been a competitor for Stern, because if this was a $4,000 game, I think it would have found the sweet spot. That's what it feels like to me.
Interesting. Okay. Matt in chat said props to Turner for listening to feedback and actually implementing changes. I 100% agree with that comment.
So much. Yeah.
Yes.
And I know I didn't have a positive, overall, it was very positive. You can see those incremental differences, which are fantastic, and huge props to Turner in general. At the same time, at the end of the day, they're charging a little bit more than something like Jaws, and it just, to me, it's not comparable.
That's fair. Yeah. Hadi, do you have anything to add to that? Did you play it?
Yeah, I played it, and I can't do anything more than agree with George about price point. And I have to applaud them. They really took in, you don't always want to listen to the online crowd because it's a vocal minority.
Yeah.
You don't know if they're, if Pinside ran Stern, it'd be burned down to the ground tomorrow. But they really took in the feedback, and they fleshed out something that I thought wasn't bad to play. Like, it was fun. They're gonna have 8 boss modes, a multi-phase wizard mode. The art wasn't terrible. I do agree about that upper loop shot. It was a little too
it's clunky.
a little too repeatable. But for what they've changed from the last iteration of this, it does not feel like a larger zizzle. It feels like a beefy pin that you could see in a lineup. I really want to stress to them how impressed I am that they've taken in everybody's criticisms, and they could have just, thrown it back and said, you guys don't know what you're talking about. But they're trying to make a decent pin here, and I applaud them for it. It's not an easy thing to do. They've created a full story mode on it. They've gotten artists for it. They just need to, I think, some sort of like thematic oriental riff music would go a long way to make the soundtrack pop. But yeah, I give it a solid like 6, 7 out of 10 from what I played. I wouldn't buy it at that price, but that's because there's a lot of pins out there, and with a lot of choice, money spread thin for everybody. You kind of have to, in space, you kind of have to pick and choose now from an amazing selection of pins out there.
So before we go any further, I see Zach is in chat here. That would be Zach with Flipping Out. I just do want to reiterate that all of the opinions shared on this stream do represent Flipping Out Pinball. So, do with it what you want, manufacturers. But if you have a problem, just email Zach, ZACH, at flippingout.pinball.com. So, no, these are our opinions. This doesn't represent Zach at all. But anyways, no, I totally agree with all that. Cary, did you play it? Do you have additional thoughts?
So I didn't play it last year at TPF. I walked by it and I thought it was just a very early homebrew at the time. And then we saw it at Expo, and I gave him a bunch of feedback. And I know I wasn't the only one, obviously. And then he comes in with this when it comes to all the changes that he implemented due to all the feedback that he received. And I didn't get a chance to play it this year because every time I went by there, it was at least 3 people deep, and I don't have the patience for that. So I just didn't get a chance to play it. So I told him, I was like, dude, I'm sorry I haven't got a chance to play your game. I probably won't be able to if it keeps busy like this. And it was constantly a line behind those 2 machines. But I did ask him how was the feedback, and he said it's been overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that he still has obstacles in his way on that, and part of that is that he's still unknown. And that's the thing, is that when you have a new company coming in especially with a original theme these days, and like you were stating earlier, it's like these days when it comes to the market, it's got to check all the boxes. And so there's a couple of boxes that aren't being checked when it comes to Turner Pinball, and one of those is the theme. And I think a little bit of the other check boxes, the trustworthiness behind a new company. For those that have been in the hobby as long as we have, we know that some come and then some go. Things can happen. So I think if he can prove that he can deliver by putting games in boxes, I think eventually he will get there to where the reputation will back him up. And hopefully that eventually he can get a theme that will speak to everybody else.
Yeah. I agree with all that. What I will say is, because I had people locally that were like, okay, what was the best? What was the worst thing at the show? What I would say is the biggest surprise to me of TPF was this game. Does that mean I'm going to buy one? No. But am I surprised with how much better this game was at TPF than the other iterations? Absolutely. I remember when I saw it a year ago, it was a whitewood, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is a full-fledged company. They're saying they are going to, this is their job, this is what they are doing. But yet I'm playing this game and I'm like, I can walk over to the homebrew section and I'm pretty confident every game over there is better than this. And these homebrew guys are doing this as a side thing, just something for fun. And then the Zizzle that we played at Chicago, that was just like, man, now we're stepping in the wrong direction. You don't need to reinvent the cabinet. You don't need to reinvent how we pay for a game. No, this is not going to work. So to hear all that feedback and then produce this, I was super impressed by that. It looked like a real cabinet. It would easily fit in your game room. The only thing that does look like unique is probably their built-in expression lighting, or the Pin Stadium's kind of built into the frame of the game. I played it. I was really impressed with the depth of code. They've put a lot in the game. I really am impressed by the art. I met the artist there. The guy that did the art for this did the art for Looney Tunes. He also did the art for, I forget, maybe it was one of the P3 games. I don't remember exactly, but he's done a lot of art packages. But the fact that they hired him to do the playfield art, the cabinet art, but then all the art that's used in the LCD, it's very cohesive, which is really, really good. So in my opinion, if you have a large collection, or a lot of these games, it always gets compared to, you want to spend $7,000 for this, or you want to buy a Godzilla Pro or a Jaws Pro or a Jurassic Park Pro. Well, for new people in the hobby, this is not the pin to get somebody into pinball, at this price. But if you are a person that's already owned those games, or feels like they have a large collection and they don't want all Sterns and they want to mix it up, okay, I could see this. What's going to make or break this company is how they get the games out, and then their support. If they're known as reliable or well-built games, or they have good support, that's going to be that good, free will that you're going to build the company off of, and hopefully pin number 2 can keep them heading in the right direction. I will say, like, the ball trough on this, I saw the ball was ejecting in a unique way, and there is no ball trough. It's like the balls basically hang out on the playfield, and they kind of line up in a row, and then they're kicked forward and up and over. So it's like they've done some stuff. They have definitely tweaked some things, but I don't know if that's for better, if that's a cost-saving thing, or, I just think it's always smart to use consistent, reliable, off-the-shelf mechs, that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. And I just wanted to add a little bit to this, because I've had conversations with Chris Turner,
okay,
as of recently, and I'm not sure if any of you guys work with like engineers at what you do at your job, but he truly is an engineer. I just know that because they think differently, and just by the way you talk to them and everything, they think differently, and not necessarily, it's not in a bad way or anything. They just look at things differently than a lot of us do. So, and the thing is, what I think a little bit of an education for him is hearing all the feedback. He got into pinball, and he looks at a pinball cabinet and he's like, there's a bunch of wasted space here. Why do we need all this? Let's get rid of this coin door. It's taking up all this space. Why do we have this? Let's get rid of that. It's a bunch of wasted space. Little does he know that us pinball enthusiasts are very particular by the way our cabinets and what they look like. Whether or not we actually use the coin door, that's irrelevant. We have to have it, and it needs to be there, kind of thing.
Sure.
So the little stuff like that, he's learning. So he's getting there.
This is great.
For an original theme, I mean, he's already got an obstacle in his way, and for what they've done with an unlicensed original theme, when you've seen original themes come out before recently, this is a step above at least where it could be as far as negativity and reception. So kudos to them for trying to give the whole package. Look at someone like Barrels of Fun, obviously with the license theme, but they knocked it out of the park with their first launch.
Yeah. So I will say for Chris Turner. So first off, Cary, if you've talked to him, then you are now a shill for them, right? That's how that works. You've had a conversation.
Cha-ching!
Shill. So for Chris Turner to take the relatively, maybe not even relatively, the harsh feedback that was given to him both last TPF and Expo, for him to just keep chugging along and listen to it and make improvements, congrats to him. And I think we're heading in the right direction for this company. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Zach here, for flipping out as a dealer, the best post TPF sales were Labyrinth and Elton John, then Jaws. I remember I did talk to Zach earlier, and he did say normally after any show like that, he usually will get some sort of sales where people finally have a chance to play the game. And he said there were definitely sales that came in from Labyrinth and Elton John, which makes total sense. So, all right. Well, where are we going to next? What's the next game we want to talk about?
Do a poll.
I can't do a freaking poll. Let's do Jaws. Why not? Not Jaws. Let's do Labyrinth. Let's do Labyrinth because that is what sold well. I'm going to do an Inception here, and we are going to watch my own stream of Labyrinth because why not? There we go. So let's put this on. This is ridiculous, but it's a good top-down view, and I can point in its stuff. So was this a first experience of Labyrinth for any of you? Have you guys? Yes. Okay, Hadi. So this was your first experience, first time stepping up to the game. What were your thoughts on Labyrinth?
I was already impressed, obviously, I just said, with their rollout, with the baffling decisions made by a lot of manufacturers, designers, on how they release their pins in haphazard ways. It was nice to see Barrels of Fun come out smooth and with everything sort of ready to go. Theme isn't, dynamite for me. I love David Bowie. Labyrinth is a great movie, but it's not something I was looking for. So I went in already saying, okay, well, this theme isn't speaking to me, but there's good assets here. There's good music. There's classic one-liners and scenes. Let's give this a shot. So I played one game, toot my own horn. I got the GC on it. So I had a long game.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun. I love the swirly ramp to the right flipper. I love the orb shot where you hold the flipper up, kind of like in Star Trek to do, away team. That was really cool to collect an orb, and then they had the up post there. There were a couple times I was confused on the code and the rules of like what is stacking and what is sort, because some things were. I hit a shot. I made a shot turn rainbow, so it was like my.
You collected an orb, and then you collected an orb. When you collect an orb, you can then place a multiplier on any shot.
Okay, so I made that the left ramp.
Yep.
And got a couple extra balls, but I had a fun time. There were times. There's not a lot of times when I look up at the topper during gameplay. Sort of rage.
Sure.
Maybe Avengers to see how many gems I have left. But man, I was checking that topper out as they were talking to me because I knew something was going on. I would hold it and they'd be, saying whatever they're saying from the movie. It was a good time. I really had a blast with the flow of the pin as well. The shot geometry was great. I do have a complaint on the kickout power of the scoop on the left. I don't think that's a very fair kickout speed. It has a little too much power coming from Godzilla, which you can adjust, and I'm sure you can adjust this one. But I kind of expect a certain consistency, and I wasn't getting that. I don't know if it was the model that I was on. Maybe it was just had something wrong with it, but it was very erratic.
It's probably poor. It's probably poor mechanical engineering by Travis, who happens to be in chat. So if you want to call him out specifically, he is.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. You ruined my whole TPF. But it was a blast. I wouldn't, if I had a choice. I had enough money to buy a pin in that range.
Yeah.
It would be in the top contention. There is nothing, and I could have that at home with two little kids. I think they would love it because it's silly. But man, the shot flow on that was excellent, and the rules were great. Except for a little confusion there. But I'm trying to think of the one shot that was the toughest. Probably that left from the upper right flipper, that sort of whirlwind-esque left ramp type shot. But it was my first impressions were great. I watched somebody play for a while as well. because I knew I wasn't going to get another chance to. But they have a hit on their hands. I can't wait to see what Barrels
It's
of Fun does
awesome,
in the
yeah.
future. Congrats, guys. That was as a first impression, you can only get a little bit better, I would think.
So, and that's just to reiterate, you would consider buying this game and you don't even care about the theme.
No, and
that
theme
much.
is huge for me. The
That's
theme is
awesome. Yeah.
absolutely huge for me, and it would be in my lineup because I'm really starting to want more variety, and I think they've nailed a lot of cool aspects from different pins. Especially again, that orb shot is great. Yeah, and the music is awesome. The art is fantastic, and it's got a iconic character like David Bowie.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great. Yeah. What I will say is the hardest shot for me in the game is definitely this right inner horseshoe, because if you're starting a mode, it's great. It locks away. But if you're not, that back is down and that ball's going to come flying back at you. I know that was a complaint that I was playing with Travis Murray, that is. And he basically said that he was upset that there was no ball save or there was nothing for that shot. And I know it burned me a few times, but it's also kind of one of those shots you just kind of have to avoid if you know it's not the right time, or be prepared. If you hit this horseshoe, it's going to come flying back at you. But yeah, Cary, do you have thoughts on Labyrinth?
I played it a couple of more times, TPF with my daughters. They really enjoyed the theme. They haven't seen the movie yet. I have a plan to watch that with them, of course, but they were laughing at some of the things that were going on within the game. Of course, because there's fart sounds, that's an easy giggle from them and stuff. But the wife, she played it. She didn't have any complaints on it or anything. Like for me, I mean, for me, it's definitely a theme that speaks to me. I was thinking it was going to be an easy, just like I'm getting this game because everything at the time looked great. I think for me though, when it comes to just the play style and how it plays in the play field, I don't know. It doesn't speak to me enough. It doesn't check a box to where I'm like, is this got everything? And like I was saying earlier, it's for me to buy a game, especially with these days, it's got to check every box.
Yeah.
But they nailed the world under glass, the call outs. I mean, obviously a great theme. I mean, Barrels of Fun in general has like impressed, I think anybody that is true will say that they have like come out of the freaking gate and just blown everybody away, and it already has a great reputation. So they have definitely impressed me.
Travis in chat, he responded to Hadi. He apologized, which is great. That's really big of a manufacturer for apologizing for a mistake they made.
About
time. But I also saw Clint and Travis both said that apparently there's a ball save option now for that shot, which is awesome. That's quality. That's a quality adjustment there. George, other additional thoughts?
Echoing both what Hadi and Cary said, I think this is an amazing first game launch. It, for whatever reason, I'm not a huge fan of the theme, and playing it doesn't really speak to me in any way, so it's not something that will likely end up in my collection, but I can appreciate theme integration and immersion like this, which is, it's cliched to say it, but it is a world under glass. They even with the little guy that just pops out in the left out lane, like there's so many cool things about this game, but it has me excited knowing that, I don't know, was it Nap Arcade or someone commented that BOF may have the Fifth Element license?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I have that poster downstairs.
See me down here just rubbing on myself.
Well, yes. So Fifth Element was in the background of one of the average Adam Savage videos. So I don't know the validity of that rumor, but I'm in for it. And then Muppets, obviously with Jim Henson, I'm a huge Muppets person.
That would
so
be amazing.
That's sorry, George, I cut you off.
Oh no, I have the Fifth Element downstairs signed by Gary Oldman, Mia Jovovich, and the movie poster.
So many good call outs would be for that game.
So many. Chris Tucker has got to be inexpensive enough to get in, I feel like, right now and narrate. And
it's like,
I would love every
oh
moment.
my God, if we had like a Ruby Rod, like just talking about you, like, what's wrong with you? Whatever, stuff like that.
Super green.
Amazing. And it's one of those that they don't even need the movie clips. If you enjoy the movie, you don't need it. You hear the audio, you see the movie in your head kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be huge. Well, yeah, I've expressed my love of Labyrinth before. It's not a theme I care about, but my brother has voiced that if he had the ability to buy a pinball machine right now, of all the games that he's played, this is the one that he would want. I really enjoyed it. What I will say is when I streamed it, I didn't have the topper, and the topper, to get all the additional call outs from the goblins, you have to have the topper. And what I will say is it fills out. There are moments in the game where it's just kind of the chill music if you're kind of in between modes, and now all of a sudden you have these goblins giving you a hard time, and it just fills the audio space so well. So I will say, if there are people that have this game on order, do yourself a favor, get the topper. It really adds a lot to it, and it's not just something that looks cool. It's actually adding to the audio gameplay, telling you stuff to do, and telling you, reacting to your shots. I went to the panel. They said that's all Mark Silk. Mark Silk did the voices of all three goblins, and he said they recorded 65, I think, scenes. So that's like actual dialogue between them. So there's 65 different things that they can throw in this kind of, yelling or arguing with each other and arguing with you, which is awesome. Had a chance to play. They had like a separate room where they had a game set up, and the original Whitewood. It was pretty cool to play the original Whitewood and how different the game is compared to how it started. But being able to hear the game, that's my biggest issue with shows is audio. You cannot... It's so hard to judge a pin's audio. Like somebody said, Turner Pinball, the Ninja Eclipse. I wish they would change the audio. I didn't hear a single ounce of the audio when I played it. And this, same thing. The audio here is actually very good. So this is great. And my overall stance still is I'm nervous to see what game number 2 is, because if game number 2 is a theme that I really enjoy, it would be hard to say no to it, just because I'm super impressed with them as a company. Going to their panel, listening to the employees, talking to a bunch of them, they all seem to love where they work. It seems to be an awesome group environment. And David, the guy that's steering the ship, is doing a great job. So super impressed with Barrels of Fun. I know a bunch of people placed orders with Zach at Flipping Out for these games, and I think Zach's shipment on these, at least like they are focusing on Flipping Out for like the next few weeks. So hopefully, if you did happen to order through Zach, you guys will be getting them very, very soon. Yeah, overall great game. We agree? It's all good? Cool. All right, next game. What are we talking about next? Centaur. Let's do that. Cary, you are a spokesperson for them, right? You get paid by Haggis to support them, and
that's the rumor.
Okay.
Evidently, I'm in a bad relationship, or something, or whatever the term was that was being used. I'm a
Have you been
sellout.
recapitalized?
Wow.
So let me ask this question to you guys right there. I'm not assuming, but did you watch my latest video in regards to the whole Centaur unboxing?
I did, just because I was told to watch it.
Okay.
So I watch all your stuff, but yes.
For George, for Hadi, and for you, Joel, if you were in the same position of just like being there and you had the option to unbox this damn unicorn, would you have been like, no, I'm good, I'm going to go home and let them figure it out? Or would you be like, this is a one in a lifetime chance, possibly, to do something like this?
I listened to your video, and you were in the right place at the right time, and you absolutely did the right thing, which was, why would you not do this? And I'm sorry that you had to endure everything that you had to for just doing a favor. Like, hey, let me set this up and go ahead and stream it and share it with everybody else.
Like, I wasn't even gonna play it, but everybody was like, no, plug it in, play it. And I was like, oh, okay, kind of thing.
Yeah. How dare you? How
dare you?
How dare you?
Like, screw me, what an asshole.
So Centaur, we'll start with Cary, because you're gonna get paid for whatever you say. So go ahead and what were you saying? You unboxed it. You've spent the most time with it.
All I can say is, from like firsthand experience with it, it's like we were talking about earlier about how do we need a back box anymore? And it's one of those things where I remember I opened it up and there was almost nothing in there but a cable going from the base cabinet to feed to the displays. That's it. I mean, it's utterly just an empty back box back there just to hold art. So, but when it comes to even the damage that this machine occurred due to the pallet jack and everything, like the cabinet was pushed in a little bit. You can feel it. Mm-hmm. You can barely see it, but it held up just fine. As far as how it played, I only played it basically right there at the unboxing, and I think I did like a one hand on it whenever I was streaming, whenever the orbs targets and stuff like that were working.
Sure.
The sound system is crazy awesome when it comes to what you can hear. That did have both sets of code revisited and the classic. I just don't know if people knew how to get to the revisited code. Even it says on the display to hit the flipper button, then it goes into the revisited. And the music on that one, you can really hear the bass for it, and it sounds pretty cool. I just don't know how complete the code is because it's a drainer. For me, I'm horrible at it, but like it was draining very fast. Amazing looking.
Yes.
I just can't compliment too much on how well it plays because it was just draining so fast for me. But it's one of the prettiest games I've seen. It definitely unboxed.
Hadi or George, did you play it? Did you have a chance to play it? George played it.
I did.
What were your thoughts?
It's gorgeous. I got a short video. It displays, projects another kind of like red waves on the floor, just like Fathom does. It is absolutely beautiful. And the one they had at the show, the right flipper, if you held the right flipper while also holding the left flipper, the right flipper would get stuck. And then you had to the flippers were soggy, so you couldn't hit the majority of the shots, and the right flipper was just awful. So I didn't really get to enjoy the game, but it had the LCD screens. Assuming it could get to a state where it's being played like Fathom and you like Centaur, this is your dream version of the pinball machine. It was awesome.
Yeah. Hadi, you played it or no?
I watched it.
Okay.
I love Centaur's great. I don't like the colorized version. I know it's a beautiful pin, but it just seems like it was a crime against my eyes because of how classic the original is. And I love Haggis pins. I played Celts for the first time, I feel like late last year, and I was really happy with it. I played their the Mermaid edition of Fathom, which is a stunner. Like I wish I had more space to put in sort of this like a section of like, oh, these are beautiful remakes or something like that, because they're when you lift the playfield, it's just beautiful, and everything about it is great. And I'm really hoping they have a 8-Ball Deluxe remake release in their cards or somebody like them, because they do really good work. I think I'm really bummed about what they're going through, but as far as Centaur, I didn't like the colorized feel, and from the gameplay, I didn't see anything different that would make me want to plop down X amount on either edition.
Sure.
But I do feel like you're going to get a good remake out of them. I think they have the pedigree for it. They just have to figure out these issues that are going on now. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. Well, just because we're shilling, that's who we are. If Pinmonks in chat, if you want to know what the Pinmonk silent power supply fans are for, next time that Hadi talks and you hear that jet engine in the background, that's what they're for. That's what they're for.
I just ordered 5 of them while we were talking.
Oh, yes. They're a must. They're a must. I have them in all my games.
That's why he's thanking me, because I just put an order for 5 of them. I can't take it. This is crazy.
Yeah, but
I've got a nice how-to video you can follow. It's pretty easy.
Yes. The problem is I don't put any in the games that I borrow from Zach. So it's like as soon as I get a new Stern, I'm like, oh, I forgot how loud those freaking fans are.
Stern, you're making me buy coil stops and now fans. Please fix your BOM.
Franchi's here. Cary, are you gonna play? Are you playing cornhole with your GTF playfield? Wow.
No, I've got it on the wall back here. I'm starting a playfield wall collection back here, but I've got it up there. Once I got that playfield, I was like, you know what? I've got other playfields.
That's awesome.
Getaway and Earthshaker. I'm gonna start lining the wall back here.
That's awesome. Franchi was there. It was great seeing him, and he was signing stuff. And yeah, I brought my brother's Guardians of the Galaxy poster all the way down, a banner, and he did that. Joel, we're shilling. Yeah, we're shilling stuff. Hey, you see my wall? You see how beautiful? Anyways, so this game, I played it. Unfortunately, this is my lack of experience. I have not put a ton of time on the original, so I don't know. People are saying that the flippers feel soggy. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, it felt like an older game to me. They definitely don't feel snappy. So unfortunately, I don't have the best comparison to whether or not they feel good or bad. I enjoyed the game I played. I thought it, beautiful is the word we're just going to keep coming back to. If this is a game, if Centaur is one of your favorite pins, this is going to be the best version of it that you can buy. It's incredible. I mean, just looking at Cary's stream here, that he did for Haggis, and they paid him, sorry, Cary. I just, no, yes. This stream, I mean, this is awesome. This is awesome. I mean, just look at the inside of that game and look at the amount of detail and perfection that they put into inside the cabinet. It's absurd. And looking at all the stuff that he removed of the packing, they know these games are going to be shipped overseas. So they clearly know how to pack a game that's going to have to survive multiple trucks in a ship and all that stuff. People have said this is the best sound system in pinball. I did hear the game. The game sounded good, but unfortunately, once again, with playing at Expo, it's hard to, it's just everything seems loud or you can't hear it at all. So I was impressed. Once again, it was my same feeling towards Fathom, and hopefully they can figure everything out as a company and start getting these games out to their buyers soon. So I would still say I was impressed by the game. Still an overall positive view of the game. So that was 3 of them. Let's stick with new games. Let's do barbecue. Let's do barbecue. So
I'm gonna need another drink.
Yeah, who wants to go first on barbecue? I don't think anybody streamed it yet, right? As far as I know, there's not a stream that I can pull up. I don't think American Pinball streamed it. We may be looking at a static image. But that's fine. We can look at a static image. Barbecue. I'll go first. I can go first. Can I go first?
You
Go first.
Should we start a timer to cut you off?
I
Or
don't know. Okay, barbecue. I played it 3 times. 3 times. Why did I play it 3 times? There wasn't a line. So at TPF, that's the biggest challenge. It's like I go in. It's like, all right, I do a podcast. I do these streams. There are games that I have to play, right? There's games that it's like I gotta make sure I put in my time for this. So I'll wait in line. But this one, I didn't have to wait in line. It was always just one person or there was no line. So I played the game. And then there was one time I went up and I played it and I finished and I turned behind me and there was nobody. So I hit the start button again and I played another game. Code, no idea. No idea what I'm doing in the game. Once again, it's Expo. You can't hear it. I will say I do like the screen. I like the screen in the middle. There's something about that, not having to look up. Bond 60th had a screen. I like that. I'd be all for more people doing that. Carl streamed it. Okay. I will do that.
if you look at the bigger screen up there, you probably would have started getting hungry.
Yes. I will say we did go to Hard 8, and that's a local barbecue place, which was delicious. So I did smell of smoked meat and then playing the game. But that was kind of the conversation of like, where does this game fit? And all I can think of is, yeah, if you have a barbecue restaurant and you really feel like adding a pinball machine, I just don't know if it makes sense for a collector. Carl doesn't have it on his YouTube. So Carl has streamed the game, but it has not made it to YouTube. So yeah. I don't know. It just, yeah. This is what I will say about the game. The game, it just felt bare. It felt like there really wasn't much there. And first off, Dennis on Eclectic Gamer already has said this really bothers me right over here. Why is it in that order? I read that QBB every single time. And I get it that apparently on Barracora it spells it that way. But the challenge there, chat, feel free to tell me if there's another game. Is there another game that only has 3 or 4 stand-ups on the left, but it reads it top to bottom?
TNA? Doesn't TNA have rad from the bottom up?
Nope. I'm looking at it right now. RAD.
It's top down?
Top down.
Okay.
Deadpool. DAD. POOL. Deadpool. Like, I don't know if you can say another game, but that to me really bothers me. Now I get it. I mean, it's if it was just even at the slightest angle with the insert, like just the slightest angle or something, I could see it. But the fact that it's fab, So Chris is saying fab. Is it like this? Is it FAB? I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
I just put the link for Carl's barbecue stream for you in the chat.
Oh, it's to the Twitch?
Yeah.
Okay.
In case you wanted it.
Yeah, for me to go to that in Discord breaks
That's
everything.
fine. That's fine.
It breaks
fine.
everything.
That's fine.
So, yeah, okay, fab. Okay, so that would be Beatles. Okay, so I'm wrong. I mean, but I saw that and it bothers me. But that's me. That's just me. I'm nitpicking. So when I was playing it with Dennis and Tony, we were saying it's QBB tip was what we were going instead of pit in the middle. Anyways, but when I look at this, it's like it's basically 2 ramps, whoop whoop, 3 pops, and 2 saucers. Three saucers. There's a saucer over here to the right, saucer over here to the left, and there's a saucer back here in the corner. So there's no orbit shot. Well, it's an inner orbit, but it really just all it does is shoot up here and feed the in lanes. And that's it. That's it. So like mechanical satisfaction, shots, it's expo, so it felt like they were kind of low power kind of thing. So there were times that I would hit this left ramp and it would make it about halfway up and then it would dribble back down. They put spinners on the ramps, but the amount of energy that's lost on that ball by the time it hits the spinner, you're going to get like 3 spins. It's a like, oh, cool. That's unique to put spinners on a ramp. There's no power. There's no power there. It makes sense why people put them in front of the ramp. So I don't know. What did Zach say? I think there are some interesting aspects to discuss, but inserts are the least of AP's concern. All right. Yeah, that was my initial impression. I mean, I played the game multiple times, had no idea what I was doing because I couldn't hear the pin, and it wasn't blatantly. I mean, they do a good job of like, oh, I should probably hit this shot because it's like strobing. So I was trying to hit what I hit, but it just wasn't exciting. It just wasn't exciting for me. That was my take. Any of you guys, please disagree with me. Please tell me this was the game of the show. No, but
I mean, I played it a few times.
Yeah.
I played it in a multiplayer game too. I think we have to first go back to acknowledge how right Zach was at the pinball show about making this more marketable by allowing restaurants to have their own sort of branding on it, to make it more appealing for them to want to have it in their establishment. If I can go to Hard 8 in the Colony or whatever it is and say, and they're like, oh yeah, we've got a Hard 8 the Colony version of BO's Barbecue Challenge. That's an easier sell. So Zach and Dennis were on point when they talked about the marketing for it. I think we all love Barry Orsler and what he's done for the pinball community and the hobby. I think they did what they could to, make this sort of one last tribute to him. It's just an odd theme. I love diners, drive-ins, and dives. So as someone who enjoys frosted tip Guy Fieri, I thought, okay, street level pin about barbecue, what can go wrong here? But it's still a hard sell to me. Just at the price, it was a lot of fun though. I am not going to poo-poo the design of it because the multiplayer game that I had, me and the other guy, were actually having a lot of fun. But I think that's more attributable to elements of Hot Wheels that you see in it. We've had this sort of design and layout before, but looking up at the LCD and seeing royalty-free stock footage of meat cooking is not something that I want to spend money on. I want to spend money on something you've worked hard for. And if you have to cut corners on your BOM, fine. But don't give me something I can go to Shutterstock and pull myself. So I just geometry-wise, I didn't have an issue with it. We had some cool moments, just sort of like seeing the balls fly around during a multi-ball, like you would with any pin. But it was funny to watch it happen on a pin about barbecue. That's all I really can say about it. I would totally, I'm jonesing for a street level pin that's not Pulp Fiction right now. And I was hoping, just like at last TPF, I was hoping GTF was going to knock my socks off. If you go to the Flipping Out with Friends that we had last year about post TPF, I said I wanted GTF to be the pin that I took home. And Barrio's Barbecue, I had a feeling I wouldn't take it home, but it did impress me more than I expected. So kudos to them. There's a lot they have to fix on it. Price is one thing, and the rest of it, R.I.P. Barry O. I hope he's I hope this does him justice.
Yeah, yeah. What I've heard is apparently the code is really focused on tournament play or tournament, like it's thought through. I mean, Steve Bowden did all the rules.
Yeah.
But my fear is like, well, like most tournaments are done on location. I don't know who's going to want to put this on location when you can there's a lot of other themes you could put. So it's just like, this may shine. This may be an awesome pin to have at, whatever Indisc next year, but I just don't know who's going to buy it.
Who's going to bring it to the tournament? A lot of tournaments, unless you're in an established location, sometimes they're at people's private houses or private, residences. So I love that Bowden's on the rules. I think he's got a great pinball mind. It's just
so Chad has two good questions. Franchi asked one of them. Would you be cool with more games like Pulp, meaning old school and no LCD? I'll answer that right off the bat. Yes, as long as the audio is good. The audio is the part of the game that you are experiencing 100% of the time you're playing, while in LCD, you only experience it when you look up. So I absolutely, do you guys agree, disagree?
Completely agree. That's what I was stating right there. That's why I was saying if they did a Fifth Element and they're like, oh, we couldn't get video assets. I'm like, as long as you had the audio callouts, I'll be perfectly content with that.
But that's the thing. Here's my view. So let's say they did Fifth Element and they can't get the video. Then I would rather them do like an XL DMD display and just do unique art for it than try to do some weird, Jurassic Park animation kind of thing. Like I would rather, because you can get away with doing like dot matrix versions of characters, and that's not a licensing. Isn't that right? Or no? I don't. George has opinions. I can see it. I can see it in his head tilting.
So many. They're all over the place right now. Sorry, you can't do Fifth Element without the video assets. A. And B, if you were going to do it without the video assets, sorry, could you do an old school retro kind of Fifth Element pin? It doesn't match up. It's the Fifth Element is a futuristic game. It should be using newer technology. It's a huge part of the game. I don't feel like that mixes well with the theme. A. B, if you could do a Jurassic Park kind of situation where it's your job to actually get the Fifth Element to the spoiler alert to the planet back to Earth in order to shoot off the ultimate weapon, maybe that could work. I don't think it would be anywhere near as fun, but this has to be I would say BOF levels of labyrinth immersion into the movie. That is the only way to make that work well.
Okay, so certain movie licenses I could see, but there are other, like I do think Pulp Fiction fits the theme, and I've said it before that I don't think I would enjoy Pulp Fiction more if I could have seen the video clips. I think what they've done, they crushed. But I think there are certain licenses that I'm just all about bring the DMD back. That's where I'm at. My other question in chat was, let's say there was a ticket drawing at TPF and you won, and they're like, all right, you can take home either barbecue or Ninja Eclipse. Which game are you taking home?
Barbecue.
What are you thinking, Cary?
That's actually a tough question.
Yeah.
Because I played barbecue. I didn't play Ninja until like at Expo, and I don't remember it very well, kind of thing.
I take the cash
equivalent.
They have a more established pedigree as far as.
Yeah, I think if you're going for like, I guess, a safer bet when it comes to long term, and then since you have basically like Hadi's saying, the pedigree, we don't know much about Turner yet.
I honestly, I think I would. This is me and the freaking friends and family card, but I think I'd go Ninja Eclipse. I think there's a chance my kids would play that. My kids have zero interest. My kids have zero interest in smoked meat on an LCD. There's nothing. I don't know. Maybe the code. This is one of those games where the code is actually really addicting and it's really fun to play. But just going off of just initial gut reaction to the game, yeah, man. I think I'd probably probably go total eclipse. George, did you play this? Did you play this game?
Yes,
Yeah.
I got several games on it, and one of those was with David Fix, and he kind of walked us through some of the rule set and explained why every time Manu from MPT3K played the game and put up over 100 million, what he was doing. So a couple different things about it. One, I was hungry every time I played the game. Like I was in Texas. I went to Hard 8. I had so much barbecue when I was out there, and this game, despite the fact that I was sweating constantly from all of the barbecue I had eaten, like I was still interested in having more barbecue. It was I think that says something about the theme somewhere. I don't know. I enjoyed that. But once we got into the rules and the multiplier system, and there was a cool point where I feel like somebody got a massive bonus. Like there's a lot to the rules in this, and it's old school in the way that there's a 3-ball multi-ball where the balls all sit in the saucers. And I really like that. But the layout definitely felt like Hot Wheels. I think they're two different designers.
You love Hot Wheels. You love
Hot
it.
Wheels.
Yeah.
I love everything about Hot Wheels except playing the game. But I really love Hot Wheels. Like the theme is great. I have never collected a Hot Wheel in my entire life, but I love the animation of the show and just how silly that pin is. And I just can't stand actually flipping it.
George, early on when I started streaming, George helped me out a ton, and I remember watching a lot of his streams. And Hot Wheels was, I think it's honestly the game that probably you are the worst at. It was just like George doesn't look like a very good pinball player when he plays Hot Wheels. You could not hit.
I cannot hit those shots. They're at a weird part of the flipper that my mind refuses to flip at. So I can't hit the ramps. Yeah. I can't hit the orbits. Nothing aligns with where I can hit. And that was my problem on this game. I think there's a lot here, and it sounds like American is putting a lot into the rule set here to make it kind of interesting. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that this is a bit of a tournament darling down the line.
Sure. Okay.
Because I think the rule set on it and the multiplier system is something that's really cool. But yeah, screw Hot Wheels. Yeah, I don't know where else I was going besides.
Cary, where you were posted up right at the entrance with your Earth Shaker, but I know the American Pinball, like you could see it, right? It was pretty close to you. I don't know how you were kind of, I don't know, what were your thoughts or just watching? Did you play the game? Your overall takes on BBQ.
All right. So I was going to make like a whole video on this. And the thing is, I more than likely still am, because I do know someone that bought this game and he's relatively near me. So I plan to play this next week a lot more than I did at TPF. So I do have games on it, multiple cabinets too. I want to start by saying that barbecue is giving Foo Fighters a run for its money when it comes to how shitty the plunge is. So for those that plunged the ball on that game, did you have a joyful plunge at all? Did it feel smooth when you hit it? Was it just like, hey, I'm going to go up here and feed around an orbit?
Watch Carl plunge here. What it's supposed to happen is do this, go up here, and then drop in. I did not experience that on any of my games. Oh, he didn't even try it. He doesn't. If you full plunge,
he's going to slam into that post on that left ramp.
Yeah, if you full plunge, it's supposed to do that.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. Certain games, you have a short plunge where it's like, okay, I want to hit a target. But if you do a full-blown freaking plunge, I think you should get obviously less points. But it should still be satisfying to watch the ball go around an orbit and feed back to your flipper or feed down in the in lanes into your pop bumpers. I did not experience that on multiple machines. My first machine with it, I was like, maybe this one just isn't adjusted right. Maybe it just needs a little bit of a setting, or maybe it's just off kilter or something. Let me try a different machine. Same experience. So I was like, okay, then maybe something's just needs to be adjusted. I think that particular habit trail on the shooter lane needs to be adjusted to have a smoother transition to feed to that particular orbit. And that's where I was like, I don't know if this is truly an Owlsler's game. And like Hadi said earlier, this is like a tribute. And it really is a tribute game, because essentially, as far as Barry got on this, was drawing it. He drew it out. American Pinball took it. They made some little adjustments here and there. and we have what we have here. There are things that I do like about it. And one of the things I do like is honestly the pop bumpers. I think that's damn cool. The way that the
light
lighting
effects,
affects them. I look at that and I'm like, I do like that. I can't deny that.
Yep.
The screen on the play field, I like that. When you do nail a shot and you have enough power behind it and it goes around the ramps and everything, I do like that. When it comes to what I believe could have made this game much more interesting, is it's missing that mech to give us a moment.
Sure.
We do not have that in this game. I feel like instead of it just having an eject hole in that top right corner, I think that should feed some sort of like, I don't know, like a smoker or a barbecue grill or
they got
something.
the grill here. They should have done the American Pinball milk crate and launched the ball across into the grill.
Dude,
you know,
something like that goes into a grill, and you get 3 balls in there, and eventually the temperature gets so hot when you do something, basically the grill pops open and balls go over the playfield. Something like that. That's what we needed in this game to give us that moment of like, hey, you know what? I don't really care much for the theme, but that's pretty damn cool. Something like that, and we just don't get that on this machine. And I plan, like I said, to play it more next week to really get I feel like I just need to give this game as much of a shot as I possibly can, because I feel like people probably think that I'm like wanting American Pinball to fail or something, and I don't want any manufacturer to fail. I just feel like every time AP brings out a game, they kick themselves in the nuts with some aspect on the game. It's like they just bring out this, they're working on this badass Lamborghini or Ferrari, and it's just about to reach the finish line. And before it gets there, they're like, hey, we need to make a small adjustment. Give me the sledgehammer. Why? Give me the sledgehammer. And then they freaking bust a big old giant hole in the side of the door, and they go, better airflow. What do you think, guys? And it's like, what the hell? You almost had it. It was almost there. You almost had like a great game. There's always one part of every AP game that just seems to fall short.
Yeah.
And look at the rumored ABBA title. They've already released from Pinball Brothers. They've already released a 10-second video of an insane helicopter multi-ball mech, and it's ABBA. Like, I don't have any interest in ABBA, but if you could give me a cool mech like that, I will look at that. And if this had, like what Cary said, some sort of barbecue grill mech, anything, like this would be much higher on the list. And I think George is right. I think this is, I mean, it depends on what location's going to get it and keep it. But street level pins with brutal rules from somebody that knows tournaments like C. Bowden would be a great tournament darling. And I hope it gets there, because I know it's not completely street level, but I think this could at least have legs as that sort of status.
Yeah, I get what you guys are saying, and I will just say, yeah, I think the lack of killer mech is what hurts me, because if this was in a lineup of games, you know, and I was with my wife or whoever, and there's nothing for me to tell her like, well, shoot that. The most entertaining part of this game is the 3-ball multi-ball, which cool is you can start it. Like if you lock either on the left saucer or the right, as soon as you lock one, you can do a 2-ball multi-ball. You can control whether or not you want to do 3 or 2. But like for me to, you know, try to get my dad to be entertained by that's it. It's just not. And maybe this is the thing. If this was Alcer's last design, was it complete, or was it, you know, was there a mech that he was trying to do, and maybe out of respect, they're like, we're not going to touch what he did? I don't know. We have no idea. We have no idea how this was handled. So if this is, I mean, maybe this is super appealing to some. Maybe this will be a tournament darling. You know, I hope some people try it, and I would love to hear some, you know, if an operator's like, it actually does really well at this restaurant. Like I'm all for it. I'm all for this selling because I want there to be another game. I want American. I know GTF didn't sell as well as I think they wanted it to, so I hope they can keep pushing forward and we can see what's coming out next. But I know that's not the best thing to say. I'm looking forward to what's coming out next when they just released a game. So
that's the question I want to ask. Do you think that this is like the only game they bring out this year?
No, I bet they tease. Well, released, yes, but I bet they tease by the end of the year their next whatever it is, and I bet. I don't want to say I bet, but I hope it's licensed. I want to see them take on a licensed theme. I want them to succeed. The more we have, the better. You know, competition breeds creativity, and they've got a bunch of great talent there. I can't wait to see hopefully what Ryan McQuaid's pin is, if he has one in the works. So
Yeah.
I really do hope that whatever comes next, it knocks it out of the park.
And not to cut what you said short, but you buy the Flipper Fan kit at pinmonk.com. Pinmonk, not the Flipper Fan, the power supply kit. I'm sorry, Hadi.
I have no clue how it sounds. I can only imagine how it sounds on stream. It goes off every 10 seconds. And you spend money on these pins, and there's like one little part that you could include to know, and it's probably AI. It better not be Venom. It better be AIQ right now.
Yeah, it's so good. All right. Next game that was new for pretty much everybody to play. That would be Princess Bride. Princess Bride. I am trying to pull up a stream. So let me. Oh, it's not under Multimorph. It's under Buffalo Pinball, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let me pull that up. Princess Bride. I'm gonna let George go first because I think he likes this game. I could be wrong, but I think he likes this game.
I really like the game.
But okay, here we go. Yeah.
but there's a but. There's a but. So you have to buy into the multimorphic platform, and they are making such fantastic improvements to the quality of their product, which is great. But there's a lot of people trying to get rid of their older ones where they've had nothing but issues right now. So they've dropped significantly in value, which is a great thing. But do you get invested now buying an older one, which is going to continue to have problems? I didn't get the opportunity to chat with Jerry to find out what the support for something like that would be. Like, if you buy a used one, do you get the cool new power supply for free, let's say, and a lot of the replacement stuff? If so, I'd be more inclined to do something like that. But let's say, for the sake of this, I were to buy a fresh P3 with the Princess Bride module. The theme integration is absolutely fantastic. On top of that, they went with a very static playfield, kind of like Final Resistance, in that you see things moving, but the playfield remains static. Like, there's notifications that pop up and then they disappear. And to me, that is so helpful. I really struggle with a lot of the animations on some of the other games that they have. But as you can see here in the video that you're showing, the playfield's remaining the same. There's little animations and pop-ups about what you're doing. And you can see also the point out for the specific shots up towards the top of the animated portion of the playfield, telling you what happens if you hit specific shots. So I played this game a ton, and on top of that, I got to play it almost every time with Steven, the lead designer of the game, who is just the coolest person ever. And on top of that, one of his first questions, he came up and he said, "George, I heard you're a big fan of Scott Pilgrim versus the World." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? That's like, it would be Harry Potter, Princess Bride, and then Scott Pilgrim, I think, would be number 3 in terms of top film to pinball themes for me." I love not only Scott Pilgrim and the manga and the Netflix series, the movie, all of it, but Edgar Wright specifically. So Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, at Worlds, and Baby Driver, all of those things. So it was great conversation that we had the entire time as we were also talking about the game, coming back to it, getting to play, and having Steven kind of walk you through some cool stuff happening in the game. The rule set, once again, is fantastic. Shooting the game is a little on the boring side.
Okay.
But I put probably about 10 games on this, and I waited a lot in order to make that happen because I love this. Like, it's my theme. I really want Princess Bride, and it was how hard do I push to get a P3 module, and how long will I have to wait in order to get a Princess Bride? Knowing now that I can grab Final Resistance and Princess Bride with 2 modules, I'm much more inclined to do so. Also, with all of the changes they're making to increase the quality of their game, all of that, I think I'm in. But it's more so for the code and the theme integration, and less for the layout on this particular module. But still, it was fun.
So I know, George, you've been in on a P3 before, and you pulled out before they. I think you sold your spot, or you just stopped. I don't know.
Sold the deposit, sold the spot, and then the guy who got it tried to put it on location. It died and was unusable for almost 8 months.
So what is it now? besides this being a really good game that you really enjoy, what is it that? Why would you reconsider that now? Like, that's what I'm saying. What is it that they've done that is changing your mind or making you consider it?
There's a great thread on Pinside that was an open letter to Multimorphic that it was cool to kind of watch Jerry respond to, and other people who are part of Multimorphic kind of jump in, and people being both trolly but also kind of helpful with that feedback. And at one point, I think Jerry says, "All right, I'm out. This is becoming more of a kind of like a bitch feed as opposed to helpful." And then you can see 50 pages later that Jerry comes back in, and it's filtered out, I think, a lot of the trolley stuff and a lot more positive feedback. So the big change for me, I think, is that Jerry, at least initially in a lot of the conversations I had and a lot of the interviews, was like, I know better than everyone else. Yeah. And that seems to have changed drastically. I think he's really coming around. And I do think that Multimorphic is an amazing platform. And I think we're getting closer and closer to it being something that you can feel confident that when you buy, it's going to function a majority of the time. Maybe we're another year or two away from that, which is really like every day I vacillate between I'm going to do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm have to wait 6 to 8 months. Do I wait for somebody to actually say, screw this, I don't like Princess Bride, it turns out, and then go buy that one? I don't know what to do about that, but it's Princess Bride, and then obviously the opportunity to pick up Final Resistance, which is just brutally amazing to play. And I reaffirmed that when I was here playing that again at TPF.
Yeah. Cary, thoughts? Did you play?
I got a game and a half on this, and I think how many games have we, like me and you, Joel, like played together? Just one? I mean,
maybe. Yeah.
I think we played Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep.
So my point is, I'm not a great player. Okay, so coming up to this game, I felt like I was a great player. Every shot seemed easy for me.
Sure.
And one of my complaints at first was that I don't like the upper flippers being on different buttons. But after a while, I realized you don't even really need your upper flippers for this game. You only need your upper left. You just need the upper left flipper for that shot to the right that goes around the cliffs of insanity. But you do not need your upper right flipper. And so I was like, well, I don't really need that particular upper flipper, so I'm not going to worry about that. And once I got rid of that whole mindset of not needing to have my fingers on two different buttons or only using them when I need them, I really started to get the shots even more down. And there was a lot of things that I did like about this. I think this is the most interesting multimorphic game to date for me. Even though the theme absolutely does nothing for me. I am not excited about the Princess Bride whatsoever. The first time I watched it was probably whenever it got announced that Multimorphic was doing the game. I was like, well, I better educate myself to an extent of at least watching the movie. So I watched it, and it's like, I get why people don't understand why I like Labyrinth. They're like, why do you like that movie? And I guess it's one of those things that since I didn't watch this movie whenever it first came out or whatever, then I don't have any kind of an attachment to it.
Sure.
So when it comes to theme, it's just not something that speaks to me. I think, like I said, the shots were pretty easy to find. I think this has got probably the most assets for a theme than any other pinball machine, including Labyrinth. This has got, I think everything from the movie, essentially, like every call that you can think of, every particular scene that you can think of. It's so congratulations on them for having the most assets in it. It's just that for me, like stated before, it's just that there's a large buy-in for this particular platform, and I cannot do that just for one game. So they're going to need to have a Rolodex at the ready, that if I ever decide to go down the multimorphic, lane to pick up the system that I want to be able to go, I'm going to want this game and this game. Because I watched them move the systems in and out, and I was like, that's actually looks pretty easy. I was like, I was expecting it to be kind of cumbersome or whatever. They just kind of like, ka-choom, just dropped it in place, did a couple little latches on the wire forms, and then just dropped that play fill like it was nothing. And I was like, oh. So I think it's just the initial buy-in scares people away, the 10 or 11 grand or whatever. But every game after that, you got to think is just a third of another kind of game on the market.
100%. Yeah. Hadi, did you play it?
I did, and I played it with the rules designer, Colin next to me, which is why I'm excited about it. I think this is P3's overall best module. It doesn't have as many mechs, obviously, as Weird Al. It's got the amazing Cliffs of Insanity, ball lock going up. I love that.
Yeah.
I was talking with somebody about it, and I had a Weird Al on order, and then I sold out too because I was getting real nervous about the quality of their parts. And the one I saw in Colorado was down. The one I saw locally was down, and I was like, I got to get out of this. So I'm really happy they're trying to address it because, as you can hear from the fans behind me, I really don't want to have to deal with something that's going to cause an issue. But as far as the system, this module itself, I agree with Cary. It's got a ton of assets, probably their most ever. And I'm excited to see what Colin does with the rules because from what I played, I had a ton of fun. He was showing me where he put a ball save, where he didn't put a ball save. Like you think about that labyrinth horseshoe shot. Now it has one. He kind of has those things, I think, dialed in. I'm not used to. I think everybody that plays it is not used to having the extra set of buttons for the upper flippers. I know it's a software setting you can change. I'm just bummed for them that bummed for P3 that they're so locked into this format because you have this blank space in the middle that will always kind of prevent them from coming up with an infinite number of ways to be creative up top. You have this space that's always going to be there, and you have to figure out a way to make it fun. This one, I think, will sell well for them.
Yeah.
The price increase is not something that I expected, but if they're doing quality parts, then I guess it makes sense. But if you're getting into a P3, the financial benefit is deferred until you've got a few models that you can say, these are the ones that I want. I do think this is their best module. I hope it sells out. I think it's a great step as far as getting a licensed theme and doing it justice. They've done what they can here with getting every sort of iconic moment onto the playfield and then having everything, like George said, on the static screen in the middle, and you get your audio package and video assets out there. So kudos to them. I think it's the best module I played. I'm excited for Colin and the team. And I'm not a buyer yet, but as time goes on, we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying. I'm still not a buyer, but this is definitely a module that feels like, it seems like, same with Hadi, same with George, it's just kind of itching me one step closer to potentially being a buyer. If I had a P3 module, the base system, I would buy this in a heartbeat. Absolutely.
Yep.
Like if I was already in this for sub $4,000, absolutely, I would buy it. The theme integration is fantastic. The shots, Cary, you mentioned it, I think are really easy. It's a very fanny layout. Weird Al was super impressive what all they put in there, but because there are so many mechs and it was so complex, it was actually really hard to kind of understand, at least with just stepping up to the game, like what is going where and what do I want to shoot and why and how do I get up there and how do I do this? So for them to kind of take a step back and just be like, we're just going to keep this very, this is the castle shot, this is the ramp up the middle, this is the cliff, super easy to step up to and just play. I played this with Dennis and Tony and Travis Murray, and Travis Murray is an incredibly good player. He blew the game up. He was going through modes left and right. So it was really cool to see how unique the modes are and creative they are based on what part of the story you're going through. Plus, it gives you kind of some control on what mode you want to pick. So I like that because it, then it's not so linear based, or you can kind of mix things up. So I just think they're continuing to improve. My fear, though, with Multimorphic in general is build quality. You do see a lot of them for sale, and they're heavily discounted. I know a local buddy of mine was selling a very modded out Deadpool. I think it was a Pro, and he was offered a P3 as a trade, like a P3 with more than one module. I mean, that's a big difference. So it's that kind of stuff that, unfortunately, it's just, if you ever decide you want to get out of a P3, as of right now, it's kind of hard to do. Or if you happen to be like, I'll take a P3 in that module, but I don't want your other two, then what do you do? What do you do with those other two modules? And how do you... So there's always concern there, but I absolutely think this is probably one of the best ones they've made. Top 2, Final Resistance is still my favorite. I played the heck out of that when I was there. What was cool was talking to Elizabeth Gieske. She works at Stern. I showed her Final Resistance, and she just kept going back to it. Like she really enjoyed playing that game, which I think says a lot about Final Resistance. But overall, if this is a theme you like, if you're in on this module, I absolutely think you're going to enjoy it. And I do think they're heading in the right direction and continuing to improve. But Zach kind of said it in chat. I'm waiting on version 2. They've had a lot. I mean, this system is how many years old is this at this point? Like, there is that fear that, like, are we going to get to a point where they're going to have a version 2? And if so, I would hope that there would be some backwards compatibility. Because, I mean, the whole point would be, like, if they release a version 2, but none of the version 1 kits would fit in it. Like, I don't know. They've kind of done that in a way where, like, the Weird Al scoops are different, or there's different lights. Like, they've kind of, or they've added flippers. They've kind of incrementally made small changes to mechanical aspects of it. But do you think there will be a version 2? And is that a concerning thought, if whatever, a year down the road? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know how to look at that or think about that. George is thinking. I can see. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a concern, not a version 2 that isn't backwards compatible.
Okay.
I think we're going to see a lot of small improvements to increase the reliability of the platform overall. But there's already so much capability built into this game. Right now, it doesn't need more options. It doesn't need more capabilities. It doesn't need anything else. It will be successful if there was no reliability issues.
Okay.
And they sold the games as they did now, and they offered up the platform, and people started getting in and developing on this platform today. I think it's a complete success. It is just the reliability issues right now. And I remember talking with Jerry, and he was. Everyone always has their own ideas. It was me and several other people, and it was a great conversation because somebody said, basically started offering up, well, what if you could do this? What if you could do that? And Jerry was basically like, everyone always has these other ideas of adding additional functionality to the system. It's already capable. Is what you're asking or suggesting, is that going to sell more games in some way? Like, you can do so much with the game. You talked about the lower half of the playfield, but you can create ramps that cross. You can do the loop-de-loop ramp at the bottom if you wanted to. It's incredibly flexible as it is right now. The only thing you can't do is, let's say, like, screw over the top of the playfield by putting a tank right in the middle close to the flippers. So that was funny. I thought, I'm going to laugh at myself there. Thank you. But it can do a lot. If they increase the reliability, I see the platform as being very, very successful because it uses such standardized technologies. It's .NET, it's Unity, it's all of these frameworks, and they've opened things up. They have a very, very responsive Discord. Their support system is great. I imagine the support system would feel even better if there weren't so many issues, if they didn't have such a backlog of problems. And on top of that, they've already committed to bringing all of the users who are out there up to code, up to spec. They're sending out replacement components. They're sending out replacement power supplies in order to power everything appropriately. That, to me, is a commitment to version 1 of the platform for at least the duration. I don't know that they see a major version 2 yet.
Okay. No, I mean, I trust you in that as the person that may be the closest to potentially buying one. If you're not worried about it, or you feel like we haven't hit that, I don't know, like we haven't maxed out the capabilities of this version, so why would they? Because whenever that transition happens, you're either gonna hope you excite a whole lot of new buyers that look at the new stuff that this thing can do and push you into the system, but at the same time piss off all your current owners. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna bridge that gap. I don't know. But I know it's funny. Like I have a Nintendo Switch and I love it, but it's old and my kids play it now and it's starting to break. Like they broke the kickstand off the back and all this. And part of me is like, should I just buy another Switch? It's like, no, because there'll be a new one that comes out. But I'm like, but what about the old? Like here I am stressing out, not stressing, but like overthinking about that's a $300 system, right? Like that's
End of 2024, by the way.
Yeah. So, but that's
Just
like,
wait at this point. Yeah.
I will, but that's a very different. The fact that I'm still considering that it's $300 versus like this a whole thing. But
it's like I can't help but just look at the chat. I'm just like, Zach really doesn't care much for the multimorphic systems, and I'm just like,
no.
okay, this is a time where I really wish that I had just like the FU money to where I could just buy a whole bunch of freaking multimorphic systems and just ship them to his house at his front door. That he just got to deal with them. Like, yeah, he'd sell them, but he still has to deal with it. Just the inconvenience that it would just enjoy for me.
Yeah, he's dealt with them before. That's why he feels that way. But he dealt with them early on, and I get that. I know they've improved a ton. And are heading in the right direction and continue to get better. And I will say that this playfield is definitely a killer theme. I think they've crushed it for what it is, and with the playfield, they're doing a whole lot right. But is it still enough to push me into the system? Not yet. But I'm just like what you were saying. If I bought a P3 today, I'd be ordering both this and Final Resistance, and probably 6 months down the road, Heist. Like it's just gonna keep going. But all right, we're cruising on time. Like we're already close to running out. So the last game that I want to talk about, Looney Tunes / Pulp Fiction. So nothing wrong against Elton John. Maybe we can be real quick on that. Elton John and Jaws, but did you want to talk a lot about those? I'm assuming you did.
Well, you compared Looney Tunes and Pulp Fiction. I'm assuming you mean Looney Tunes and
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, and Pulp Fiction. So we'll just we'll say yeah. I said the wrong thing. So let's talk about our experiences with Looney Tunes and TCM. Let's go Hadi. Why not? Did you play both of them? What were your initial thoughts on
just played Looney Tunes. I didn't get a chance to play TCM. From what I heard, a lot of people really enjoyed TCM. The time I had on Looney Tunes was very good. I think Spooky keeps getting better with every release. I did like some of the shots. There was some part of the playfield that was hidden. I think it was the left in lane or something that was sort of obstructed that I didn't like. I didn't also have enough power, I'm assuming just because of the amount of plays that they were getting, to get up some of the ramps. So I switched over to another pin, and it seemed like that might have been the issue. I think they have a stone cold hit with Looney Tunes. I love the theme. If I knew what was sort of coming out on the horizon, I'd probably put this at the top along with Labyrinth for top contenders. It's just going to get better. Spooky has been excellent with their customer service. I'm glad they learned lessons from Halloween and Ultraman. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about the smiles I saw from kids playing Looney Tunes, from adults.
Okay.
And it was a winner to me.
Nice. Cary, what are your thoughts?
People kept asking me, like, Cary, what's your biggest surprise, or what's the game that speaks to you at TPF and everything? And I kept telling them it's Chainsaw. And this surprised the hell out of me, because I remember going through the footage and the release and videos, and I was thinking that it was Looney Tunes that was going to be for me. I'm looking at the color, I'm looking at obviously the theme, and I'm just like, oh, it's obviously going to be Looney Tunes for me. This is what I would want. I had like no interest in Chainsaw. Did not. And then I get there, and then, Bug beckons me over there, and he's like, oh, here, play a game. And I was literally like 4 or 5 flips of the flippers into the game, and I was like, this is your best shooter yet. I was like, this feels so much better than Scooby. Just in your previous games, I enjoyed this more. And I played Looney Tunes, and my issue with Looney Tunes is that, one, I couldn't hear the cut scenes, of which there are quite a lot. There's a bunch of cut scenes in there for the episodes. And like I said, audio is very important to me. So whenever you have a lot of Looney Tunes sound effects, that can start to kind of grind on me after a while. All the boings and bangs and booms and zips and pows, and when you get a multi-ball going, it's just like, it's a hodgepodge mess of Looney Tunes, and after a while, I'm just like, I'm done, kind of thing. So with Chainsaw, it just seemed much more flushed out. I really wanted to keep continuing to learn the code. Hilton was there. to basically guide me, to kind of help me a little bit more on the code. I still have a bunch to learn with it, but I just really enjoyed Chainsaw. And surprisingly enough, Sunday when I brought my daughters in there to play the games, they played Labyrinth, and then we went over there to Chainsaw, because the lines for Chainsaw was much more smaller than Looney Tunes. Everyone was all over Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
They sold out all of their games. And then my daughter Charlotte, she is one of those that cheers for the dinosaurs on Jurassic Park. She's like, haha, you're gonna die. And she's kind of weird like that. So we're playing Chainsaw, and she's like, what does it mean eat again? And so we're having to explain to her about cannibalism and stuff. But she was really getting into the game. She was having a lot of fun with it. She was like really, and there was even video footage that they posted up on social media where my daughter got it into that door and the door shut, and we cheered, and the meat grinder. She really enjoyed that. And then I was like, all right, we're done with this. Let's go play Jaws. And we were waiting in line on Jaws. And she's like, I don't want to play Jaws. I want to play Chainsaw. So we went back over to Chainsaw, and we continued playing that. I did not expect to enjoy that game as much as I did. So I thoroughly enjoy Chainsaw much more than I did Looney Tunes.
Nice. And apparently your 3-year-old daughter, how old is she?
No, she's 9 years
Nine,
old,
okay,
but I'm pretty sure she'd be happy if I got a Chainsaw here.
That's crazy. That's awesome though. George, did you play them both? What were your thoughts?
I did play them both. And Texas Chainsaw was the big surprise for me. At the end of the show, I went and played Looney Tunes. I love the theme and all kinds of issues with the game. I played it twice. One time it just crashed. While I was waiting in line, the people in front of us, the left flipper just died. And we tried to call someone over because he trapped up on the right. And eventually the left flipper just started working again, somewhat magically. So went through and played, but when I played, the left flipper kept dying. Like it would just die and ended up draining. At one point, I'm like, all right, this is frustrating. But I also couldn't hear the game. So I kind of walked away thinking like, okay, standard. I don't know. To be negative for a second, kind of like that's what I expect at this point. But then I got pulled into a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, and I'm going to start off by saying the game crashed on me. But that was on ball 2, and that was after I just lit the game up. I figured out all of the shots, and there's this really cool moment at the left, and you can see it here on Looney Tunes where there's the ship. But in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's a food grinder,
Meat grinder, yeah.
And the ball gets locked in there, and then it slowly gets grinded down into the lock and re-released. I'm like, what is going on right now? Oh my God, that's so disgusting. Be thinking it's people meat. I don't like horror movies. I have never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and suddenly all I wanted to do was play Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's as Cary said, it's the best shooter they've ever had. That upper shot from the upper left flipper is deceivingly difficult, and it's all I wanted to do was try and hit that. I kind of love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know how different the code is between the two. I want my experience on Texas Chainsaw Massacre to happen on Looney Tunes, so that way I can get Looney Tunes and have it in the house, because I don't want my kids saying asking me about cannibalism and being like, I just want to play Texas Chainsaw. But
did you ever lock the balls in the back box?
Oh
area?
Yeah, that was it. The ball literally got lost, and the game didn't know what to do. And that was the second time I played Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It just disappeared. We have no idea where it went.
So,
and I really wanted to experience all 3 balls. I got one up there, and I wanted to keep going, but I just wasn't good enough.
Well, I can explain some of that. So first off, code. The code is completely different. It is 2 completely different design teams. I think, I could be wrong, but I think Bug was kind of managing the design team with Looney Tunes, while Luke was managing the team with TCM, because he made a comment when Bug was playing with us. He goes, well, Luke has done more with that, because I said something about TCM. But he knows him. But I could be wrong on that. But I do know Ben Heck and Hilton did all the rules and code for TCM, while Eric Pripke is doing all the rules for Looney Tunes. So apparently they were designed like different, and in a completely different way. So same layout, but the way that they're approaching things are very different. Now there are some similarities. Like Luke Peters, not Spooky Luke. Got it, Zach. Okay, so both of them to start a mode, you're gonna basically go up the middle. You're gonna qualify it in some way and then go up the middle. Another similarity to use the hook. It's the meat hook or the locker hook, meat locker hook or whatever in TCM. To do that, you have to hit the captive ball here once. Then you can lock a ball. Then you hit it again. Then you lock a ball. Then you hit it again. You lock a ball, and that's how you start multi-ball. While in Looney Tunes, it just happens that it's very similar, but in Looney Tunes, you have to hit this captive ball, I think, 5 times. And once you've hit it 5 times, then you can just boom, 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 lock the balls. That is one issue I had with the game. Every version of the game I played with, this captive ball, the way that it's set up, it's not like a normal captive ball where it's a horizontal thing. You hit the ball and it goes straight horizontal. It's like vertical. It's kind of up at an angle. So when you hit the ball, it's got to like kind of force itself up. And I don't know, these things could have just been beat to death they were being played nonstop. But there was a lot of hits I had on that captive ball that were not registering the hit. So that was always my goal when I played the game. Like, I just want to see this mech used, and I couldn't get it to work. I could not get it to work. So I hope that's something that they can tweak. It could just be this version of the game. Another issue I had with the game was right flipper to back left ramp could never hit it. It would either rattle or it didn't have enough power. That could once again be due to show games that were played, beat up or low power. And then another thing, if the ball goes under this ramp, there's actually a scoop here and the ball ejects up. It's supposed to eject up and around this orbit and then feed this flipper. Never happened. It would go up, it would go about halfway, and then it would come back down and feed this thing. So stuff, I'm not trying to hold it against them because once again, it could be just really worn out games or expo power issues, that kind of stuff. Also, I did have my game crash on TCM. Bug was with us, and he's like, you need to do this and this, and you'll start multi-ball. Boom, hit the problem. I hit the shot that was going to start multi-ball, and Bug's like, yeah! And then the playfield went black, the ball spit out, and it drained, and then the animation starts showing the drain animation. He goes, yeah, I don't know what happened there, but, and it's... So I do think after experiencing both, the code looks to be more interesting with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. One of the modes, I played with Travis, so he was blowing it up. He had to hit some qualifying shots, but that's the mode where you're feeding Grandpa, so he's like sucking the blood of the girl. And so the whole playfield fills up red, like it starts at the bottom and fills up red. And as he's drinking her blood, the shots from the top start to go out. So to beat the mode, initially you can hit any red shot, but then a little bit will go out. So any shot that you hit that's no longer red is not worthwhile. So as you're playing less and less shots, like you get to a point where the whole upper playfield, none of it's worth anything. But then you get all the way to the point where only the slings are lit. Like you have to aim from a flipper at a sling because the blood is draining out. Like very creative modes. So
Cool.
if they can build these, and I hope in the home environment everything is strong and you can hit the shots clean. Watching Bug stream this, he's just looping shots all over the place. So hopefully everything shoots well in person. But I do think the modes are rather creative. The Looney Tune modes definitely felt easier. There's no timer. That's one thing you might notice. There's no timer right now on any of the modes. So I think it is a little more forgiving. So I think this definitely is a more family friendly, not only in the theme, but also in the way that they're coding the game, trying to be a little more, family friendly. So
I think it depends on the family too, because like Luke was telling me he wished he would have been recording whenever we were cheering for my daughter whenever she killed somebody. We were like, "Yay,
Yeah.
you murdered somebody!" kind
Yeah.
of things. I think that's what's definitely turning people off with TCM is the theme. George, I highly recommend you watch Chainsaw. It is hilarious. I mean, it's not scary. I was laughing more than anything, but it just kind of gave me a better idea what's going on within the game. But
Okay.
yeah, I really.
yeah. One thing I did like is on Looney Tunes, the TNT targets, which is spelled either way, up or down, now that we think about it. But if once you've hit those targets, you can put a ball under the flipper and it locks the ball, and it I don't know if it locks it first or if it's just instant, but you can basically make a multi-ball at any moment. At any moment, you can make a 2-ball multi-ball. So if you're not doing anything and you hit it under there, boom, now all of a sudden you have 2 balls in play. Or you can save it. So I just thought that was kind of cool to always have a shot ready. You've qualified it, but there's always a shot ready where you can bring in a multi-ball literally at any moment. Add a ball or anything. I thought it was pretty clever. So I'm excited to see this game continue to turn out. Like, I know Scooby-Doo, that the code on that has only gotten better and better and better. So hopefully from a stability standpoint, you know, I've heard of multiple people that has had flipper issues or game crash issues. Hopefully those are all things that they can work through. I will also say Looney Tunes, you know, even looking at it now, it just seems really orange, really orange. I didn't get that vibe as much in person. Like, I definitely thought it looked better in person. So maybe it's a top-down thing. Or I was talking to somebody and they're like, if any aftermarket mod guy makes stickers to put on the ramp, like, I think they would sell well. Or if anybody made replacement ramps that are silver, those might sell. I don't know. But overall, yeah, if they can tweak the captain ball and everything shoots well, I think they got a hit on their hands here. So once again, a game that I think the company is heading in the right direction.
I want to add one last thing about that, which is just that.
Go ahead.
It was so cool because I played the game between the two games, I think 4 times, and I could never. There's some combo shots. Obviously, they want you to hit, but then every time I played, I found a new shot that I didn't know existed. And you brought up the under the upper right flipper.
Yeah,
I didn't know that there was an away team shot there, and then it drops into a locking mechanism.
Yep.
There's a lot in that game, which is another reason why I feel like Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of stole the show for me in how surprised I was and how much fun I had, despite the fact that the game got crashed and I lost a ball.
Yeah.
In the second game.
And that's like, you can even shoot under this upper flipper. You can shoot under that
Yeah.
upper flipper and lock a ball. There's a lot there.
Oh my God, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you
Sorry,
can do
I had
that.
no idea you could get under that.
Yep, it feeds. There's a scoop that then would eject. So it's a whole nother shot, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool what they're doing. And yeah. So we'll just rapid fire real quick. Pulp Fiction, Jaws, and Elton John. Does anybody have anything stand out that was a unique thing on any of those? Have you guys all played them before? Anything? We'll just go one at a time. So just go ahead, Hadi. All three. Any real quick thoughts on all three?
I'm glad more people got to play Elton John. It seemed like the big winner at the show.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to multiple people about it. They couldn't believe how big of a party and a pin it was. It's just a complete concert. Everybody was flocking to it, and some people finally got to play Jaws Premium. They're all stars. All those pins, they're all great. I'm happy more people got exposure to them, and I'm really happy for Elton John because it was a tough sell, I think, just on theme for a lot of people. But once you play it, it's rocking and rolling, and I hope the sales orders reflect that.
Yeah. One other thing, Ray is in chat. Ray Day, Foo Fighters code. So Foo Fighters code plus the new topper.
Yep.
Go ahead and George, share your thoughts on the other things. But did you own Foo Fighters? So is the topper, is that something you're interested in, or what are your thoughts on that?
So the new code is amazing. I played it the night it came out. I already enjoyed the game, but I kind of fell in love with the game. And as Ray Day knows, I was planning on putting it up for sale as soon as 1.0 hit. And I'm not going to put it up for sale anytime soon. Like there was the single coolest update I've ever experienced in terms of code to go from seemingly a game that was done. We already could get to Overlord. We already could do everything.
Yeah.
And then the game shifted in a direction of focusing on combos and add that amazing topper. It's just awesome. And if they could, like, already there's all of the cool new callouts where the Foobot is kind of explaining to you what you need to do. And if you could get that with a topper where it's like it's actually talking to you, it's awesome. I don't know that I'm going to spend $2,000 on it, but I would if I had the cash and I didn't want to do something silly like buy Elton John.
So Elton John, is that what are your thoughts on Elton John?
I probably played Elton John the most at the show. I legitimately maybe 20 times. Like, I waited in line. If it was open, I snuck in at one point just to play Elton John. Like, it's a very fun game.
Yeah.
It is the rule set on it, and this is coming from the same person who I feel like I shit all over Elton John because I was pissed at Jersey Jack for choosing such a lame theme. And But what's interesting is the game's awesome, just despite the fact that it's a crappy theme, in my opinion. And I can even get into the music. I was stuck singing Elton John all weekend because I played it so many times. So I loved Elton John. I purposefully only put one game on Pulp Fiction because I'm getting a Pulp Fiction at some point in the future, and I just don't want to spoil it. Still, I had an amazing game, and they had to come and like they were kicking people out, so they turned it off on Ball 2. I was approaching 2 million. Pulp Fiction was a buy based on theme alone, and then playing it, I absolutely love it. I want a single level playfield game. All of the things. I definitely pinged Zach at one point. I'm like, all right, if I was to do something stupid and buy Elton, what does that look like? And and it's still
a lot.
My big fear is that it's going to drop $3,000 in price in the very near future. I don't know if it's going to happen, but every other JJP release recently is
it will
awful.
Well, I have a lot of friends that are like, I'm in on Elton John once the price drop. Like they're waiting, and that's the thing. I think there are a lot of people waiting, but I know a lot of there's very few that are sold used because there's not a ton of them out there. But I don't think you have to drop the price much to sell it. So if you're expecting, George, you buy it at 12 and you're thinking the only way I'm going to unload this is to sell it at 9, I doubt it. You might lose a little money, but I feel like you're losing money on any pin these days if you sell it. I don't know, man. I don't know. Cary, thoughts on those 3 pins?
Didn't play any Pulp Fiction because I already got a good feel of it last TPF. Still enjoyed the game. When it comes to the new Foo Fighters code, I actually played that yesterday, and that code basically pointed out how much I don't know about this damn game when it comes to how to play it. Whenever you've got the robot telling you what to shoot for, and I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know I was supposed to shoot for that. So playing through that, still enjoying the code. When it comes to the topper, I'm working on a skit for that. It's mainly just going to be the price for the topper as well.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks among the community is that nothing wrong with how it looks and what it does. It's just when you see that price point, it's like ouch. When it comes to Elton John, it's one of those where I said it whenever I first played it. It's JJP. They make a beautiful game. They know they make a solid product. The theme was not something that spoke to me, even though as the game's being played, I can sing every damn song from Elton John on there. I can sing along, and it's not a theme for me. I just wish the price was a little bit better. So I'm reiterating what a lot of people have already said when it comes to stuff like that. I finally played Jaws for the first time. I played a pro and a premium, but I've only got like one game on each of them. Solid shooter, not a game I would like to own though.
Okay. I've been fortunate enough to stream all 3 of these games, and I've enjoyed all 3 of these games. What was really cool for me, I did not play Pulp Fiction at all. I've been playing it obviously here, but to hear feedback that people continue to like that game. What really sucks is one of the best things about Pulp Fiction in my mind is the sound, and you can't hear it. You can't hear it at the show. I think it's a selling point of the game, honestly. But it's fantastic. So I'm glad more people have continued to have a chance to play that. Elton John, though, is the main game that I think I've heard multiple people like finally had some time on the game. They brought a bunch of them. I know Travis Murray, that is, him and Monica played it a bunch. Travis is a really good player, and he kept being drawn back into that game. So you step up to it, the game's familiar. It's automatically familiar. It's Steve Ritchie. All the shots are where you would expect them to be. It shoots great. It feels great. You hit start. It's immediate. Great music, great light show, great everything. So it's just fun. It's just a fun game. So for people to play it and be like, wow, that game's fun, I know. I know is the answer. I agree with you. But my only criticism to it is, for somebody that streams the game, I play the game for 2 hours straight. The way that you attack the game, maybe I'm just missing it, but there isn't a ton of different directions or ways to attack that game. It's a lot of, use your croc multi-ball or your rocket multi-ball to try to get further to this, and then kind of a rinse and repeat kind of thing. But I had a whole ton of fun while I was doing it. And that's where I'm stuck on that game. I think there are plenty of people out there that they just want to have pinball that they step up to and have a great time. And they don't have to overthink anything. Elton John fits the bill night and day. Even Cary saying Foo Fighters, he's owned the game. the depth of some of these rules are so crazy now that to have a machine or a robot tell you, oh, these are things that I'm missing, that kind of stuff. So maybe there are aspects of Elton John that I was missing, but even with that said, if that comes off negative, it's still a game I miss. I loved it when it was here, and it's a game. It's absolutely probably my favorite. I think I would say it's my favorite JJP game, and it shoots great and it's awesome. So Zach has mentioned in chat, if you want an Elton John, he's getting him, and he has spots open next week. Joel, what are you streaming next week? I don't know yet. I think he was talking about sending Zach's on a cruise next week, but apparently he was going to send Tim up and swap something. So we will see. We will see what I'm streaming. Oh, and then the last thought, Jaws. I finally had a chance to play Jaws Premium. It's awesome. I definitely think it's better in the Pro. I had a blast on the Pro, but bringing all those extra shots up top, it filled it out. I think you look at pictures of the games, I thought it looked a little stripped back, but actually seeing it in person, then the whole 3D depth, everything feels way more filled out. The Premium's awesome. And I've definitely told Zach I'd love to borrow one at some point, just so I can get more experience on it. And my fear is it's going to be like Godzilla, where I played the Pro, loved it, played the Premium, and then had to have it. So I know my brother loved the Pro, so I have no doubt that we would enjoy the Premium. So, yeah, I think that's about it. Any closing thoughts on TPF or any other game? I know there's some homebrews. Shout out to Glenn with Saw. The audio was great. There were some really cool homebrews that were worth playing, but I know we're going long. But yeah, any other thoughts that stood out on pins or anything at all?
Someone release 8-Ball Beyond, please. That plays amazingly. Make it a thing if you can.
That was a good game. That was very well done. The homebrew section in general, all of them are really impressive.
It was the best I've seen in years. It was just stellar. Saw Friday the 13th, Beavis and Butthead, 8-Ball Beyond, Mech Warrior, Motorhead. Just awesome.
Motorhead was so freaking loud. It was so freaking loud while I played. Honestly, I did miss the Twippies. I enjoyed the Twippies. It was just a fun way to cap off the show, is what it felt like a fun event and kind of after party kind of thing. So I did miss them. I did miss them just for what that was, that event kind of thing. But yeah, Greg Bone said F it and just bought a Jaws Premium. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Cary, I know you only said you had one game on each. I would encourage you to play it more. That's all I'll say on that. But
I hope to get more time on it soon. That's why I didn't want to elaborate too much on it. So I was like, I just got one game on it.
Sure, that's fair. All right, well, we'll go around the circle. We'll wrap it up. So plug away. Plug anything you want, and we'll start with Hadi, so go for it.
I'm Hadi, Frisco Pinball. Thank you to all the TPF organizers, the TDs, the volunteers, everybody that came to visit Frisco, Texas. I hope you had a good time. I'll stream pinball again someday. I'm really into tournament pinball. I want to give a special shout out to Brian, Eddie, and Dwight Sullivan. I got to talk with them about Venom. Thank you again for making my dream theme and for signing my board game from Dwight. He made a game called Noblemen. And yeah, thanks to everybody that loves pinball. My name, Frisco Pinball, on all social media, and I got a trophy.
And so just to clarify real quick, the trophy that you had, George could have had, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it could have had
the money. Yeah, the money. How much?
Could have money with it.
Yeah.
It was $500.
That could have been George's. He kind of had. It was almost in George's hand, but then you took it. You took it from George. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
I saw an opening and I said, "That's mine.
Yeah.
Give it. Don't ever touch it again. Yeah. This is my hardware."
Yeah.
But thank you again to everybody at TPF. Thank you guys, and I hope to see everybody again next year and keep playing pinball.
Yeah, and thank you for shilling Pinmonk for us all stream long.
Yes.
Yes. All right, Cary, plug away, man.
What's going on, everybody? Huge shout out to everybody in chat. Thanks for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure to talk amongst all of you guys as well. Originally, when I was speaking to Joel about this, I was going to do my own solo stream to talk about these games, but whenever he said, "Hey, come on to us and we can all," I was like, I would much rather discuss back and forth and have a conversation than just me talking to chat. So this was definitely much more enjoyable for me. Hopefully it was more enjoyable for everybody out there. If you don't know who I am, I'm Cary Hadi. I'm on YouTube. I talk and do everything pinball. And if you're looking for a centaur, then reach out to Zach at Flipping Out Pinball.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Cary. Thanks for doing this for sure. And George, go for it, man.
Yeah, my name is George. I stream under Don't Panic Flip. You can Google that. That gets you to the YouTube, the Instagram, the Twitch, the Twitter, the X, all of the social medias and the stuffs. I have a podcast called Basement Dad's Pinball Podcast. We just hit 5 episodes, so still very early, trying to get that kicked off. And if you're going to call Zach, make sure to do it late at night and on weekends. I really suggest anytime after 2 a.m. Central Time, make sure that's the appropriate time.
That's when you get the best deals.
All the time.
That is when you get the best deals.
For sure.
You get Zach while he's in his hot tub.
Yeah. And huge shout out to Zach and Nicole at Flipping Out. I obviously stream for them, but I do believe they're awesome. They're awesome to work with. And if you're looking to buy a game, new or used, reach out to Zach. He will treat you right. And my name is Joel. Listen to Triple Drain. TPF was awesome. And next Wednesday we should be streaming something new. New to me. I don't know what game it is yet. But it's not going to be, it shouldn't be Pulp Fiction. So unless something goes wrong, we'll stream something else. We'll see. But yeah, next week, feel free to join. If you're watching this afterwards, leave a comment, tell us all the things we did wrong, or a thumbs up or any of that is always appreciated. So, hey, I appreciate the 3 of you. Chat, I really appreciate you guys being here and being active. This was a fun show. And we should see everybody again next week. Later, everybody.